Welcome to Stormont Vail's HealthWise TV, featuring interviews with area experts on health and wellness topics, and a low-impact exercise segment. HealthWise TV is produced by Stormont Vail Health and is made possible by the following local sponsors. AAA protects one of your most valued assets, your car, with everything from roadside assistance to insurance and trip planning. At AAA Kansas, we help keep seniors safe, mobile, and driving as long as safely possible through our traffic safety programs. Visit www.seniordriving.aaa.com. Aldersgate Village is a nonprofit continuing care retirement community with independent living, assisted living, long-term health care, and memory care, including Alzheimer's and dementia care neighborhoods. Our recovery center is for inpatient and outpatient physical rehabilitation. Contact our marketing office today for a tour. Caregivers Home Health and Caregivers Home Care, your locally owned and managed home health and private duty home care agencies. Whether you need Medicare certified nursing and therapy services or more routine home support services, one of our state licensed agencies will work to keep you safe and healthy in your own home. Jayhawk Pharmacy and Patient Supply, your locally owned and nationally recognized pharmacy and medical equipment provider, serving Topeka and the surrounding communities for over 60 years. Midland Care is a local not-for-profit organization offering hospice care, palliative care, PACE, a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, home health, Thrive at Home, assisted living, and community grief counseling. Since 1978, Midland Care has touched lives through a range of healthcare services. Topeka Ear, Nose, and Throat. Breathe easy. We're on the case. Visit us at www.topekaent.com.
A very good morning to you. Welcome into HealthWise, the TV show. I'm Ralph Hipp. We expect the holidays to be a joyous time of the year, Christmas and the end of the year, one of togetherness with family and friends. But for those of you grieving the loss of a loved one, the holidays may seem to magnify that pain. Whether this may be your first holiday without a loved one or even years down the road, that all comes back to you very quickly. We feel those losses quite keenly, especially during this time of the year. With that in mind, to help you out, we welcome the Reverend Tom Baker. Reverend Baker's Director of Spiritual Care for Stormont Vail Health, talking about grief and how we can face those feelings, especially over the holidays. Reverend Tom, great to have you here.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good to have you and chat with us. A very important topic, very much attuned to our health this time of the year, no doubt about it. Why do you think the holidays are a particular time when we feel the losses of someone we've lost during this year gone by?
You know, I think a lot of your viewers will know the classic Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And in that movie, there's a great scene. One of my favorite scenes is when, you know, he's there.
Of one of our favorite movies. Yeah.
When George is there standing up with the board of the Bailey building loan, he's kind of telling Mr. Potter off a little bit. And he's kind of saying why the building loan needs to be saved. And while he's doing all that, not many people notice he's wearing that black armband because 3 months ago his father had died.
Right.
We used to live in a culture that did acknowledge grief in a very public way.
Displayed it for everyone to see.
Yeah. We don't do that anymore. Right. And grief is really seen as something that needs to be privatized or something that doesn't need to be expressed. I've been a chaplain since '93. I can't tell you how many people, when they face a really sad moment in their lives and they begin to cry in front of me, they apologize for crying. Or we had described crying as falling apart, or I don't want to break down.
I don't want to show my friends, and I want to hold it together.
So we hold that grief in, and and when the holidays come and everybody's supposed to be merry and jolly and happy,
you
it
try
just
to
magnifies
wrap that up even more.
Yeah, it magnifies the fact that you don't want to express your grief.
Right. Tom, as I know the psychologists and psychiatrists might call that gunny sacking your feelings.
Right.
So that is totally not what we need to be doing this time of the year.
Yeah. I know it's really hard for people to kind of touch those feelings because they can be painful and they can be scary. But I think it's really helpful for people to do that, to find someone who they can talk to, who will listen to them without judgment, listen to their story, even if they tell it over and over and again, because often people who grieve need to do that. I think during the holiday seasons, it's really important to find a way to honor your loved one in a special way that means something to you. I think a lot of people need to just be heard that, need to remember that they need to plan out their holidays. It's not as bad as that might sound, or may sound like it takes away the joy of the holiday. They just need to sit down with their family and friends and say, here's what I can do and here's what I don't think I'm ready for.
Oh, I see. I see. I was going to ask you, how do we
Right.
plan that out? So
Right.
this would be okay, but I just don't think I'm emotionally ready to handle these types of things.
Right, exactly.
Tom, we had one of our local funeral chapels, funeral home services places, had a holiday of remembrance, and they invited everybody in Northeast Kansas who had lost,
wow, that's
especially
great.
who had lost somebody just in 2016, to
Right.
all get together.
Right.
How important is that to
I think-
share that
Yeah, I
experience?
think that's really important
Yeah.
to find a service like that. Or I encourage folks that we have many great hospices here in the Topeka area, and they offer grief groups that are free and open to the public, where you can sit down with other folks who are kind of going through the same thing you are, and it doesn't feel like, oh gosh, I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. And I think the other thing to do is to really recognize with your family. I know meals are an important part of the holidays.
They are indeed.
I
yeah.
encourage people, as strange as it sounds, to set a plate for the person who's no longer with us, and to take a moment before the meal begins just to remember them. Either that it's that through maybe the grace you might say before a meal, or just to share stories as a family about your loved one, those humorous
So,
stories that families always share with one
a place
another.
for them at the table.
A place
would
for them
be
at the
very
table is
appropriate.
really
Right.
appropriate. Yeah, or some people light a candle in their home when they're home with a picture of their loved one next to
Sure.
it. That's another great one. Or they buy a gift in the memory of their loved one to give to someone or give to charity. Plant a tree in the memory of their loved one, the Christmas tree maybe. So
What about that pressure to feel a certain way? Like I
Right.
said, I just don't want you to force me to act this way on the first Christmas when we lost your dad or your father.
I think the people to be
husband.
recognizing where their feelings are and to honor those feelings, and like that's why it's important to find those people who recognize where you are and honor where you are. I think it's a delicate balance between knowing what you're feeling, but also don't pulling the covers over your face and just hiding away for the holiday
Don't do
season
that,
and
right.
saying and kind of saying, I just hope the holidays go by and I don't have to worry about them. I think people are more afraid of what the holidays will do to them, and if they just stop and think about it and make a plan, it's going to be a lot less worrisome than
But
they
go,
ever thought about.
We lost our child. Or,
Right.
the holidays, I can't stand it. How
Right.
can I get through it?
Yeah.
So how does Stormont Vail in your spiritual care area, how do you help these people, Tom?
I think for, as far as our chaplains, we're always available to meet with folks at that moment of loss, and moment that we cover. We see everyone, people who have a strong connection to their faith connection, people who have no faith connection, people who may not even believe in a God or
Oh,
have
my
that
goodness.
kind of, we see those people all the time, and I think that presence of being willing to listen to them, to offer support, comfort, and care at that moment is really important for a lot of people. And of course, we do that for our staff as well. We often sit down with our staff who see lots of things day in and day out to help them with their time, and especially this time of year is hard for them as well. So I think that's some of the things I'm really happy that my chaplains and I do. And I'm always, I know you'll show my phone number later. If people want to call me, we can certainly listen to them and connect them to places where that might help them.
Well, Reverend Tom Baker, let's do that right now. It's 354-6160. You can do this with a phone call.
Exactly.
To Stormont Vail Health, the Spiritual Care Department, 354-6160.
If we can't help you, we'll certainly find someone who can.
That's right. And amazingly, or probably not so amazingly, it's very lovingly, the chaplains in the Spiritual Care Department at Stormont Vail Healthcare offer that to patients and patients' families and the staff, as he mentioned, of faith of all traditions and no specific religious affiliation. It's 24/7, and the chaplains, they respect your unique spiritual practices this time of the year. If you're going through grief, your beliefs, whether you have a religious tradition or not, the chaplains at Stormont Vail are an integral element of all this, including Reverend Tom Baker. And Reverend Baker, I can't thank you enough for joining us, especially this time of the year.
Yes.
And Merry Christmas,
Merry
Happy
Christmas
New
to
Year,
you.
and dealing with grief this time of the year.
Thank you.
Well, time now to get ready for our exercise segment featuring some fun, invigorating, some low-impact exercise. And be sure to check in with your doctor before you start this or any exercise program.